All right, guys, back at you with a little gold, precious metals, miners, and GDX, and our Yieldmax fund GDXY. All right, so what happened here? As I kind of said, this stuff was likely to start moving, right? And it should get real interesting next week with, I know Newmont will report, one of the top, certainly in the top 10 of the miners, probably number two in the world. And they should have some blowout earnings. So I see positive things with GDX. I kind of made a mental note. One of the guys sent me a note and said, "Hey Bruce, I just sold my GDXY and I'm putting it in Coney and Misty and Nvidia." And I thought to myself, well, that's a sign of a bottom because it had been sleepy. All it takes is, sometimes people just don't want to wait. And I know, listen, it really doesn't matter to me. I kind of know where this is going and I'm really, really optimistic. Heck, this, 6 months or 12 months from now could be one of the top performing funds, period, out there. But hey, the proof's in the pudding, right? So we shall see. All right, so what did it do? 37.05 for the underlying, up 2.6. Well, guys, we underperformed. Why? Because the fund managers don't know what I know, and that this is one of the most unloved and unbought and unpaid attention to sectors, and that's about to change. You don't get metals at all-time highs, even though silver is far from its all-time high. But that gets rectified and more before long. Silver is set to, if you look at the gold to silver ratio, silver is going to, outshine gold tremendously. That thing's been 120 and it had never historically been that. Then it's been in the 80s. If you look in Earth crust, it's more like 16 or 18, right? So when it gets that far out of kilter, you're talking about massive rise in silver over the next year. And silver is an industrial metal. It's one of the best electrical conductors there is out there. I mean, copper's needed, right? Electrification, you think copper. Well, let me tell you, silver's right there. Solar panels, Tomahawk missiles, munitions. I could just go on and on. Healthcare. Silver is tremendously used, let alone being a junior gold from a monetary standpoint. Why do you think they stopped doing the coinage in silver in 65? Because it's a rarity of a metal in the sense that it's used industrially. Unlike gold, I mean, gold has, a couple little applications, but, I think all the gold that's ever been discovered would fit in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So, and it's all still around. Silver gets consumed. It's in your mobile phones. It's in electronics. It's in computers. So, and those other categories that I mentioned, I could go on and on with that and show you a million charts. But you'll see in time here, folks. I pretty much can guarantee you that. I don't have to convince people. There's enough loyal people that understand this sector, but it's not popular. Why would it be popular when you have a Tesla and Nvidia and some of this AI FOMO? I don't blame you, but you've also got a paper money that not exactly the most valuable. And we have the reserve currency. How do you think these other nations feel when we export all that inflation? They're the big holders of the dollars, not the U.S. Wait till that money comes back into the U.S. It's scary to me, some of that thought of just how gold is safety, right? And how these precious metals, and for that matter, a store of wealth is true about Bitcoin. If you believe in Bitcoin, you should believe in precious metals. Okay, and I know there's a lot of contrasting guys. You have sometimes just crypto people and gold people. It took me a while to really understand crypto. And even now, I'm not a meme coin guy and I don't follow every Solano and not saying there aren't some good techs there, but to me, nothing beats the technology behind BTC itself. So anyway, enough of that, guys. 3705, 1892. We're capped, right? Because the fund managers didn't write this thing appropriately. But how could they? They don't know, right? You can't really say shame on them. Their job is not to predict the marketplace. They just go with what the IV is and what they think's going to happen, right? And to be honest, so it's hard to harvest yield when it hasn't shown itself yet. But in time, that will certainly change. All right, let's jump in here. What'd they do? Well, they wrote 235 contracts. At 38, look at this. So they're starting to figure it out, but a little bit late because their calls this week are 36 and 37, and we're already 37.05. And look at this. We were 35.28. You know, it's probably over 40 next week. So, you know, these guys have to get their act together and understand what they're dealing with. So we got some buy-in here. 50,000 shares came in. That's why they put this on. They collected 84.60. And let's take a look at the synthetic. Synthetic is, they're using the 36 now. They rolled out of the 38. So that's smart. Look at this. Now they have 309,000, but had they written better calls and just, you know, looked at what was there to see if you were super knowledgeable in the sector. But I get it. An options guy is just harvesting the yield that he can pull out of there. He's not trying to see what the market's going to do. But sometimes it's frustrating to me when I sort of know a sector and I can see what's happening. I mean, even these analysts, you know, it just shows you how crooked some of the action is in the analyst. You know, you're finally getting upgrades with like a week to go. How hard is it to figure out? You see what prior quarters production are, and you say, well, wait a minute, they were average selling price was, you know, 2,100 in gold, and the average selling price is probably 2,350 this quarter. And if you're doing this many million ounces and your costs are really labor and fuel, then it's not that hard to see that their earnings are going to increase radically. You know, it's not exactly an NVIDIA, but it's also improving tremendously. But it's just been so beaten up. Who cares? Nobody's looking, right? Well, there's a few of us looking. All right, guys, I don't need to keep lecturing you. Buy it if you want to. If you don't, I never say, you know, don't listen to anybody. Make up your own mind. Okay, so 27.6 in our profits. Let's look. Okay, here's our weekly. Here's our distribution, right? 36, 37, 38. And they went out a week on that, right? So we'll probably get run by that next week. But hey, if they leave the 36, leave the synthetic alone, we're going to make money. We're going to get run by these. That's why sometimes I love the Yieldmax or anybody's funds, but sometimes I like to go out and own my own stuff and write my own options. I've had Newmont calls back when, you know, Newmont was 35 for September. So I'm in the money well on those, and I'll make money. And I like the income from GDXY, and I'll always own it long term. But sometimes you just have to go out and make your own plays, because when this stuff gets hot and starts running, you can't depend on these fund managers to ride them out far enough. And I don't care if it's NVIDIA or Tesla. You know, everything gets capped. They just simply can't ride it far enough out. So anyway, that's my lecture for you guys. I'm not going to belittle it anymore. Let's get to payout. Let's see if there's something else. So we closed at 1892. Fair value is 1890. Here's the share count. Let me make sure that this stuff, 8977. Okay, everything's there. But look at this. We have we collected 85,000 and we owe 248,000. Why? Because poor choice. Okay. So I call it what I see it, and I give them kudos when they do well. But to me, this was, and then writing out all the way to next week. 38, I don't think it's enough. Um, but we shall see, right? I've been wrong too, just like they are. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. At least I've never met anybody that is. Okay, guys, so let's go to payouts. So here we are, 58 cents a loss, right? We've got 18 cents. Well, why are we losing? Because our synthetics haven't been paying. Let me make sure this is up to date, guys. There could be, oh yeah, 36 F5. I think I didn't fix this. No, I got it. Okay, so oh, I see what they did. When they moved into this guy, they're writing it when they're already up here, right? When you're above it, it costs you money. So when they put this on, they lost 28,000. They spent $2 for the call, but they're in the money, right? See, here's the difference. Now they have 309,000 that they could sell it for. So if this thing runs to 40, they're going to be able to sell it a lot. But by having that 38 out there, hopefully by Friday, and CPI and PPI could trigger this either. You know, I see gold going up $50 one way or the other. So I think it was around 23.50. I see it going, yeah, actually 23.89. So I see this in the low 2400s are pulling back into the low 2300s, all based on CPI or PPI data. So gold's set to move one way or the other. I think no matter what, the earnings in the following week are going to drive it up. So to me, it's a bargain. If I see it go down, I may go in and add some more GDXY. Okay, guys, that's what I got for you. I think I've belabored long enough on all these. This will be just fine here. Okay, guys, again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Have a great one. Bye for now.